The Green America Hometown Tour is brought to you by Atrion IT Technology, Rhode Island College, Cardi's Furniture, and the Arpin Group. I am standing at one of the best and brightest accelerators in the United States. So where is that? What is an accelerator, and what does it mean to our economic growth? Those are all good questions. Questions we brought with us to Betaspring in Providence, Rhode Island, as we start our 5-show series here with them. If you like stories of innovation, creativity, passion, desire, and success, stay tuned as we introduce you to Betaspring, the founders, mentors, investors, graduates, and current class of recruits working together to improve business, commerce, technology, world we live in. That is all coming up right here on ReNewable Now. Welcome back to ReNewable Now. I am here with Owen Johnson of Betaspring. Owen, so good to see you again.
Good to be here.
Thanks very much for having us back. Allan here. Allan, how's it? I love that hat. You look fantastic.
Thank you very much. When you have my hairline, it helps.
I understand that completely. I may have to see if I can buy that from you.
You may be wearing it next segment, actually.
Melissa Withers, the Chief of Staff. Melissa, thanks so much for your help.
Thanks for having
putting
us.
all this together. Let's start with a little bit of background on the two of you and how that helped kind of migrate and help form Betaspring.
Sure, absolutely. Well, my background is that I got up to the Northeast via MIT in Cambridge, studied computer science, and graduated in early '96 and started a company right out of school. I did a couple of startups, the second one here in Providence, and while doing that second startup, became very interested in the entrepreneurial kind of ecosystem here. I started a group called Connect Providence that was to help people plug into Providence, and through that met Allan.
What year was that?
That was 2004.
Okay, Allan?
So I spent 10 years working in big companies and traveling around the world with them. And when I moved back to the US, I found that being next to the mothership was all politics and no fun. So I did a spin out, and that got me into startups. I did 3 startups in Atlanta and then moved to Providence because I was looking for a city that I could get my arms around more easily.
So a lot of experience in actually building something from the ground up. Why accelerators? How did you and maybe you can define it better for our audience, but,
sure.
But why this particular format and this kind of company?
It's probably useful to explain briefly what an accelerator is. So a startup accelerator brings all of the ingredients that are important for a high-growth startup today together in one place, and brings a batch of startups to that place to go from being an early product to a fundable, scalable company, in our case, in 12 weeks. So we combine a small amount of funding, a large amount of mentorship, and connections to a network of customers, strategic partners, and supportive community that actually help that company to grow.
So those are all of the kind of ingredients that you help bring together. Here in Providence, is it a good place, do you think, to have an accelerator, Melissa? And what are some of the other accelerators around the country, and I'm kind of assuming they're all in the US, I don't know that you compete with?
Providence has proven to be a great home for Betaspring. Our location in the Northeast, in the corridor between Boston and New York, makes it easy for us to pull mentors and resources from those larger metro areas. But here in Providence, the quality of life is really spectacular. So when companies come from across the country to be here with us, we can offer them solid resources, laser-focused attention, but also just a nice place to be and to start your company, and a very warm and welcoming community.
So some of the same things that work for Rhode Island in general, that quality of life. Who else do you compete with? I mean, you've, as you said, you've got people coming in from all over the country, maybe all over the world. We'll get into that, but who else are they looking at?
There are, in fact, accelerators all over the world, and there certainly are several in the country. I think there's really a lot of cooperation among the accelerators. Many of us are part of a national network of accelerators.
So would they be in Boston? Would they be in California?
There's amazing accelerators in Boston and New York and California, and we have learned a lot and valued a lot from being connected to them.
So there's an industry that cooperates a little bit. So you're competitive, but you're also.
Yes, you could think of us as being both competitive and cooperative. So on the macro level, we're cooperative because we're all trying to do the same thing, which is make entrepreneurs, especially first-time entrepreneurs, more successful.
And when you say entrepreneurs, you are talking about people that can come in with just a business plan, people that can come in a little more mature. How do we define your potential student?
So our companies, our founders come in when they have not just a business plan, but usually their first built product, or very close to their first built product. And many of them have their initial customers. So they have some customer feedback, and increasingly our companies come in with funding. So every year, we've been doing this for 3.5 years, every year our companies are further along.
And
they've done that mostly on their own?
Sometimes on their own. Sometimes they have either taken capital from other investors prior to coming into Betaspring, or they have their own mentors and advisors that are part of their extended team, but independent of any organized entity, typically.
And now they're at the point, though, where they need this kind of help, this kind of structure, this kind of support, or?
Yeah, typically, I think companies and groups of individuals that join accelerators are looking really to plug into a network of individuals that have done it before, right? If they've stumbled across something that is seemingly working very well, they may not want to make the same mistakes that people have made over and over again. So they're joining the larger network so that they can learn from the mistakes other people have made in the past.
Peter, I think one easy way to think about it is an accelerator like ours allows a company to do in 12 weeks what might take them 12 months on their own. That is if they were able, even on their own, to tap into a network of mentors, investors, and peers. So we really accelerate that process and allow companies to go heads down and just work really hard in a supportive community for 12 weeks and accomplish a great deal in a short period of time.
That sounds terrific. We're going to jump into a break. We will be right back.
Faster than a speeding bullet, more powerful than a 600-pound gorilla, able to pack any home in a single move. Look, pulling up to our house. It's a delivery. It's a truck. No, son, that's the Arpin moving guy. An advanced mover from the Arpin Group, sent to defeat rogue movers and moving giants that provide bad home moves. He delivers customer satisfaction, quality work, and award-winning service. For a super move, call Arpin at 800-343-3500 or visit arpin.com. The moving guy, saving the world from bad moves, one customer at a time.
The smallest moments can have the biggest impact on a child's life. Take time to be a dad today.
Down, those books are heavy.
My sport is football, but my passion is education.
Right up here.
So every year I take promising high schoolers on a college tour
Lights there, darts there.
to show them that higher education means a brighter future. My name is Nnamdi Asamoah. I don't just wear the shirt, I live it.
You can be a reader, tutor, or mentor too. Take the pledge at liveunited.org/volunteer.
Do you wear this?
Thanks for staying with us. So I'm out there. I'm in that situation where I've matured to a level where maybe I have a product, I've had some support. What is your criteria? I want to come here. What is your selection process? What are you looking for?
We look for a few things. We look for a team, so usually more than one person, because we have to know that building a high growth startup it's a team activity. And we often talk about having one hacker and one hustler. So one person that can go out and conceive of the business plan and sell to customers, and another person that can build the product, right? We look for an idea that can scale to a national or global level. So that's what we're interested in. We look for businesses that we know can grow and get lots of customers. Those are the best investable companies for us.
Okay.
And usually they get there by leveraging technology in order to grow to a national or global scale.
Well, let's get into some specifics. Can you give us an example, perhaps, of a company that has come through Betaspring and is actually perhaps up and running and doing some things in the marketplace? I know you're fairly new. You said you've been in business, what, 2 years?
3.5 years.
3.5 years. Can you give us an example of some of a success?
Absolutely. So I would take a good example from our 2010 class is a company called Tracelytics. And Tracelytics is in the business of helping application developers, software developers understand the complex applications that they're building out in the cloud. Right? So if you put an application in the cloud, you may have hundreds of servers with several different types of servers, from things that do the business logic to the things that store the data. And it can be very difficult to see why your system is slow or why it's not working at all. And so what they do is they have a business that allows folks to instrument their code, take samples of the activity that's going through the system, and then profile that system and identify problems faster. So what might have taken in 3 days of engineering time to identify now takes 30 seconds. They went through the program. They were right out of Brown. They had some graduate students from Brown kind of conceived of the idea with one of their professors. They had a couple of them had been part of startups in different areas prior to their grad student work in computer science. And they went through the program, they graduated, they were able to raise funding from some of the top tier venture capitalists in the Boston area, and then they were recently acquired by a larger company.
So that is kind of some of the process that takes place, almost what's necessary, right, to get to those levels, to get to what you talked about, Alan, the ability to provide services, products on a global basis. We're going to talk in a future segment to ReNewable. And we did talk to them early on. They're down the street, they're here in Providence, they're in the Knowledge District. What was your relationship? And they seem to be a success story here in the state.
Yeah, they definitely are. So ReNewable started with us in 2009. Happened to also be a team of students that were freshly graduated from Brown. They had a technology challenge that was given to them initially in their senior year, and they came up with a novel solution to create labels without a backing, without a liner on it, which has a great deal of cost and sustainability implications.
Right, reduces some of that waste, which is tremendous.
They really went from being a science project to being a company while they were at Betaspring. And that was because we were able to surround them with people who had built businesses around core technologies previously.
And that's a great point, if I could, because I just want to focus on that for a second. I was lucky enough to be here for your CEO speed dating, and so it's amazing the family you have here. And if you could just touch on, maybe Melissa, you do that, the kinds of people, as far as mentors, as far as investors, as far as resources that you bring under this roof.
We're really lucky to have a community of mentors that gives very generously of their time and energy without compensation and often without recognition. One of our jobs early in the accelerator is to expose our companies to as many nodes on that network as possible to allow them to self-select. It's like letting those outer electrons mix together so that they can find mentors with whom they have a genuine affinity. We don't force match, we don't force fit, we really let that community organically grow. But that
mentor is somebody in the business in general, or is a success?
Oftentimes the best mentors are not in your vertical.
Okay.
Sometimes they are, and often you need domain expertise. Let's say you need to manufacture in China. Very important that you speak with someone who understands manufacturing in China. That said, the most important mentor in your business may not be that domain expert.
So what's important? What's the relationship like? What do I bring to the table potentially as a mentor?
Well, people bring different things to the table. Some mentors have deep expertise in understanding customers. Others have deep expertise in things like understanding founder dynamics. One of the most difficult things about making a startup work is psychologically keeping the team on the same page, surviving the highs, surviving the lows, and there are mentors who often just bring wisdom to the table that help these developing teams work through issues. Or it may be that a mentor has incredible contacts in an industry where they can dial that up, and again, do in 12 weeks what might take a year if a company were on their own.
And your job is to try to match up that right person with that fledgling company. The other thing you do very well is provide coffee and beer, so that's got to be a good thing. We'll be right back.
Faster than a speeding bullet, more powerful than a 600-pound gorilla, able to pack any home in a single move. Look, pulling up to our house, it's a delivery, it's a truck. No, son, that's the Arpin moving guy. An advanced mover from the Arpin Group, sent to defeat rogue movers and moving giants that provide bad home moves. He delivers customer satisfaction, quality work, and award-winning service. For a super move, call Arpin at 800-343-3500 or visit arpin.com. The moving guy, saving the world from bad moves, one customer at a time.
The smallest moments can have the biggest impact on a child's life. Take time to be a dad today.
Down, those books are heavy.
My sport is football, but my passion is education.
Right up here.
So every year I take promising high schoolers on a college tour
Lights there, darts there.
to show them that higher education means a brighter future. My name is Nnamdi Asamoah. I don't just wear the shirt, I live it.
You can be a reader, tutor, or mentor too. Take the pledge at liveunited.org/volunteer.
Do you wear this?
I am here at Betaspring in Providence, Rhode Island. I'm with Owen and Allan and Melissa, who are all doing a fabulous job. Let's broaden the conversation just a little bit. We've talked about your formation, where you're at now, some of the kids that have come through, or the companies, and we haven't yet, and we will touch on maybe some of the current groups. But more importantly, how do you see the kind of the economic landscape right now in Rhode Island, and how does Betaspring fit into that?
Well, I don't think you can ask the question of the economic landscape in Rhode Island without asking yourself more broadly the economic landscape within New England and across the U.S. Because
I'm going to make you host.
because our companies have a national or global perspective from the very beginning. They just happen to be here in Providence. Okay. And they're here because we've created an incredible base of resources that draws them here and that gives them what they need to move to the next level. But from the very beginning, we tell our companies, look, you're not operating in the Rhode Island economy, you're operating in a national and global economy.
Got it.
So it's an important perspective for us to keep as well. And remember, Rhode Island's only 40 miles by 40 miles, right?
Yep.
So in terms of thinking about an economy for our startups, it's much more important to be thinking about the fact that we're 45 minutes by train from Boston.
But maybe I'm naive, but wouldn't your students think a little bit about the landscape here as far as grants, as far as labor, I don't know, I'm just wondering, are there aspects
I think
that...
most of our companies are led by folks that have pretty deep insights into their industry. Many of our founders, this is not their first company, so they've been to the rodeo before. When you're here for the accelerator, you're really trying to tap into the network, both the mentor network as well as the peer, the community network. There's nothing more important when you're starting a company than being around other founders and other startups. It's priceless.
So you think that's one of the absolute essential assets that
it is.
That they engage with.
And I think that the Providence as a city is certainly helps us with certain kinds of companies because people people could see staying here for 12 weeks, and then often, once they're here, many of them like it, they decide to stay. The community is strong enough to support them.
But if the best opportunity for them is somewhere else around the world, off they go, right, with the knowledge and the things that you've brought them. But are there other things, since we're sitting here in Providence, Rhode Island today, are there other things that this city, this state could do to offer you and your students, for lack of a better word, to be successful? What else can we do here to help?
Well, there's two things that are really important to startups at this phase. One is being able to get the funding resources that they need to continue to grow, right? And again, we can't think about those funding resources as only being within this artificial boundary of Rhode Island, and we don't. So our investors come from Boston to New York mainly, and that's a very comfortable region for them to invest in.
And they like the kind of companies that you're incubating.
When our startups are ready for the world and they're ready to fight with any other startup around the globe, then investors will invest in them. It doesn't matter, where they happen to be located.
Let's switch, Owen, just a little bit. ReNewable has what we would consider an element of sustainability, where they're changing not only the cost, but the waste. How important is it to Betaspring to start looking at companies that are emerging into, and I know it's technology-based, but that are making changes that might help either reduce waste, use of an alternative energy, that are really touching on levels of sustainability?
So when we go through our selection process, our first element is team, and we make sure the team is solid, but it has the skills that it needs, or at least has identified holes and knows how to fill them in the future in terms of their team. Then we look at if they've done something very hard together, and if they have, then that's a positive thing. And I would say that on top of that, the sustainability aspect is yet again another positive thing. So most of our companies are disrupting industries, or they're providing a way to do something easier than it was done before. And in that sense, they're reducing waste, either of time or of some type of resource like ReNewable. So it is a feather in their cap if that's what they're doing.
And in meeting some of the people here, you had one, if I remember, that was actually doing a ride sharing program, right?
Yeah.
Maybe you could just touch on that, because that was kind of interesting, kind of cool.
Yeah, absolutely. So that company is called Rootless. Rootless.me is their domain name, and they're focused on helping folks essentially share rides. So you go down the highway and you see that there's usually 1 or 2 people in a car of 4. Those empty seats are a wasted resource, and they also represent cars that are going the same direction that are wasting energy.
Bringing that together, making us more efficient in transportation, that's a good thing. Real quickly, maybe you could just touch on, Melissa, some of the companies that are here now, because you do 2 sessions, you said?
That's right.
Yep.
2 sessions a year? Who's here now?
We do 2 sessions per year, so we've done 57 companies to date.
And we've only got a minute, I'm sorry.
We have 13 companies here from all over the country, and they are doing things as exciting as re-engineering how you shift your bike, to making it easy for tennis facilities to book court time, to transforming how people use social media to make compelling marketing products. It really runs the gamut. Technology-driven businesses, but really very diverse in terms of the audiences that they're serving and the markets that they're tackling.
And real quick, is that pretty common, that you get that kind of diversity?
It is. Yeah. Our portfolio is designed to accommodate that kind of diversity. It makes not only for a good community, but really takes advantages of our strengths, the mentors in our networks, and the kind of guidance and support that we can provide these companies.
Well, terrific job. We look forward to doing some additional great shows here. Thank you for having us, and I will return in a minute with some closing thoughts.
Faster than a speeding bullet, more powerful than a 600-pound gorilla, able to pack any home in a single move. Look, pulling up to our house. It's a delivery. It's a truck. No, son, that's the Arpin moving guy. An advanced mover from the Arpin Group, sent to defeat rogue movers and moving giants that provide bad home moves. He delivers customer satisfaction, quality work, and award-winning service. For a super move, call Arpin at 800-343-3500 or visit arpin.com. The moving guy, saving the world from bad moves, one customer at a time.
smallest moments can have the biggest impact on a child's life. Take time to be a dad today.
Down, those books are heavy.
My sport is football, but my passion is education.
Right up here.
So every year I take promising high schoolers on a college tour
Lights there, darts there.
to show them that higher education means a brighter future. My name is Nnamdi Asamoah. I don't just wear the shirt, I live it.
You can be a reader, tutor, or mentor too. Take the pledge at liveunited.org/volunteer.
Do you wear this?
Good to see that the founders of an accelerator of new businesses have started successfully their own companies. Interesting, too, what rapid growth and success they've achieved here at Betaspring in a short time. How? How did they do that during a period of economic decline? To me, it is the right combination of great timing, with so many smart, creative people going off on their own to start new companies. It's amazing advances in technology allowing for so much of this to happen. It's the passion, their own experience, and locating in a city hungry for a financial rebirth. What else did you see on this segment that has moved them so far in such a short time? Well, next week we will continue to answer that question as we bring back Allan and he sits down with Neil Steinberg from the Rhode Island Foundation and Ted Howell, a young lawyer who loves new ventures. And we get a better look at the outside forces giving shape to Betaspring. See you next week on ReNewable Now, the show and the tour that brings you the business side of green.
Faster than a speeding bullet, more powerful than a 600-pound gorilla, able to pack any home in a single move. Look, pulling up to our house. It's a delivery. It's a truck. No, son, that's the Arpin moving guy. An advanced mover from the Arpin Group, sent to defeat rogue movers and moving giants that provide bad home moves. He delivers customer satisfaction, quality work, and award-winning service. For a super move, call Arpin at 800-343-3500 or visit arpin.com. The Moving Guy, saving the world from bad moves, one customer at a time.
Hi, I'm Maureen Carey, publisher of Rhode Island Natural Awakenings magazine. I'm excited about our new partnership with ReNewable Now. Natural Awakenings is a free monthly publication committed to providing services and information to our community to improve your quality of life physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. You'll find cutting-edge information on natural health, nutrition, fitness, personal growth, green living, and the products and services that support a healthy lifestyle. You can find our magazine at health food stores, coffee shops, yoga studios, libraries, and wherever free publications are generally seen. We are locally owned, locally produced, and supporting the Rhode Island economy naturally. You can find us online at rinaturalawakenings.com.